We are in the time of year where we are dealing with holiday parties. New Year's is coming up, and inevitably we are going to hear the question, what do you do? Or what do you do now? And here's what usually happens. In that moment, people often panic, or you ramble, or you respond with something so vague like, well, I help humans in the world. No, you guys know we're not going to do that. So if you're ready, I am going to give you this incredible trick to answer the question, what do you do, in a way that actually gets people to ask more questions and ultimately, hopefully, gets you more business. We call it a one-liner. Welcome to Badass Softie, a podcast for leaders who are unapologetically ambitious and want to lead with heart because you're allowed to chase big goals without losing what makes you human. I'm your host, Dr. JJ Peterson, and the reason we call it a one-liner is because this comes from Hollywood, and it is how movies are pitched. So in Hollywood, a one-liner is a short, punchy summary of a film that captures the entire story in just a few sentences. It's not just one line. It really is a couple sentences. It's the thing that the writer or producers use when they only have about 10 seconds to make someone care about their idea. A great one-liner kind of gives you the hook that makes you want to lean in. And here's the thing. If that one-liner is not clear or compelling, the movie does not get made. It's that important. Because in the film world, if you can't explain your story simply, no one invests in it. I would say, to me, the most famous one-liner of all time is for the movie Alien. So I don't know if you know Alien, but it was, one of the original sci-fi horror movies. And before there was a script, before really anybody was involved, the writers and people who wanted to produce the film went into a studio, and the studio said, what is your one-liner? And the people pitching the movie said, it's Jaws in space. That was their one-liner. It's Jaws in space. And they signed a contract on the spot. Jaws in space. Now, why did that work? They didn't walk in and start explaining to the production company what the movie was all about. Like, they didn't say, it's crazy. There's these scientists in space, but they brought back these creatures. Okay, wait, hold on. So we want Sigourney Weaver in the movie, and there's this, you're not going to believe, there's this moment where this thing pops out of somebody's stomach. It's the reveal of a lifetime. I mean, no, they didn't go confusing. They didn't say anything. They said it's Jaws in space. Why that worked is they started with something that was already familiar to the producers, to the production company. Jaws at the time had just recently come out. There was a feeling about Jaws, right? You hear those two little notes, da-da, da-da, and immediately that invokes a feeling. So there was a feeling that was already associated with Jaws that they knew they could tap into. And then also, Jaws had made a crap ton of money. Some people actually attribute the word blockbuster to Jaws, meaning that it was one of the first movies where people lined up around the block to see it. So it made a bunch of money and it invoked a very specific feeling. So when you said it's like Jaws, everybody knows what Jaws is like. They have something that the feelings, thoughts that they already have associated with it. And then they go, it's like Jaws. And then they put their spin on it in space. We want to learn from that to figure out how to talk about the work that we do. Because so often when we start talking about what we do, it's just nonsense and a bunch of words to people. Their eyes are glazing over and they're not paying attention because we're starting with something that is unfamiliar to them. So if I say, somebody says to me, JJ, what do you do? And I say, I'm a marketing consultant. Well, they may have 50 million ideas of what a marketing consultant is. They may have had a bad experience, or they may not even have any clue what a marketing consultant is. They might think it's somebody who just looks at commercials and critiques them, right? That is what I do is not actually familiar to them. So what I need to do is not start by talking about something that I'm familiar with, my job. I need to start with something that they are familiar with to invite them into a story that they can understand. So there's actually a formula for how to talk about this. It's called the one-liner formula. And the formula goes like this. Whenever anybody asks you what you do, or you're trying to pitch your company or your services, always start with the problem you solve, the problem that your customer experiences. So part one of the one-liner is the problem your customers are experiencing or the problem you solve. So for me, instead of saying, I am a marketing consultant, what I might say is, so many companies are so close to their products and services that they have a hard time explaining what they do to their customers in a way that makes them want to engage. Now, that's a bit long, but really what I'm doing in that moment is I'm starting with something that they might be familiar with. I might also say something like, so many people have great looking websites, but the problem is they're not actually converting the way they want. I just start with a problem they're experiencing. So part one of the one-liner is problem. The second part to the formula is then position your product or service as a solution to that problem. So if I say, so many companies are so close to their products and services, they have a hard time explaining to customers what they do, then my solution is I come in and I use a story-based framework to help them create a clear message. That's it. It's very short, very simple. And then the third part to the formula is you want to talk about the success people experience because of you. So the third part might be so they can connect with more customers and grow their business, right? That's the formula. Start with your customer problem, then position your product as a solution to that problem. And then third, talk about the success people experience because of it. That's it. 3 simple parts that make you memorable and make people understand what you do in a way that can get you more business. So let me give you a few more examples, show you how this works in different industries. So if you're a financial advisor, you could say, most people feel overwhelmed trying to plan for retirement. I help them create a simple financial strategy so they can retire with confidence. Problem, solution, results. If you're a fitness coach, you can say, a lot of people feel stuck and discouraged with their health. I create personalized training that helps them feel strong and capable again. One more. If you own a dog bakery, because apparently that is a thing, I have bought people Christmas presents from a dog bakery. You could say, most pet owners want to give their dog something special. I make healthy gourmet treats so people can celebrate their pups without feeling guilt. Each one of those follows the same formula: problem, solution, success. Simple, human, repeatable. And why this matters is researcher Steven Pinker talks about how the brain holds on to language that is concrete and structured. So when your message follows a pattern that the brain recognizes, which in this case is a story beginning, middle, and end, people remember you. Brain science tells us that clarity creates confidence. Story tells us that clarity makes connection. You want people to not only understand what you do, but to be able to remember it. So when somebody else says they have that same problem, so somebody says, hey, I really want to get my friend a gift and they love their dog more than anything. You can go, oh my gosh, I know a dog bakery. When you use the one-liner, it helps people remember so that they not only come to you when they have that problem, but they talk about you to other people. So here is the structure that I want you to follow. And I want you to create this so the next time somebody asks you, what do? You have a clear and simple answer for them that gets you more business. I want you to fill in these blanks. Most people struggle with blank. I help them blank so they can blank. It doesn't have to follow that exact structure when it gets all worked out, but that's how I want you to brainstorm this. Most people struggle with blank. I help them blank so they can blank. This formula works because it honors the person you are talking to. It gives them context. It gives them clarity. It gives them a reason to ask another question. It is really about their story. You are making them the hero in your marketing message. It's not about you. It's about what they understand and problems they experience. A one-liner should spark curiosity, not just end the conversation. So if you want to create yours right now, just do that. Write down the problem your customers experience. Write down your solution and write down the success you help them achieve. Then combine them into a couple sentences. That's it. That is your one-liner. That is your holiday and networking party superpower. And the good news is the more you say it out loud, the more natural it becomes. Because I'll be honest, to answer the question that way, it sometimes feels a little weird. When somebody goes, what do you do? Our natural inclination is to say, well, I'm a marketer or I'm a marketing consultant. And that's your story. And if I'm honest, they don't care about your story. They're looking how you fit into their story. So that means start with their problem, offer your solution, and then talk about the results they will experience once they work with you. Eventually, it will start to feel like your voice. And if you're driving right now or just feel like, well, I don't have time to do this, I actually have a worksheet that you can use for you or your team to do this exact thing and figure out what your one-liner is. You can go to my website, drjjpeterson.com. That's drjjpeterson.com. And you can download a one-liner worksheet where you can see other examples, and it gives you kind of some space to actually take the time to create a powerful one-liner. So you never have to panic at holiday parties or networking events again. I hope this will become an effective tool for you. This is really what part of being a Badass Softie is all about, is finding clarity in your communication and inviting people into a story that they can see themselves being a part of with your products, your service, your leadership. So let me leave you with this. May you walk into conversations with clarity and confidence. May your words reflect the heart of the work you do. May the people who hear your one-liner feel seen and understood. And may you never panic again near a charcuterie board when somebody asks you what you do. May your message open doors that you did not expect. And may you enter into the new year with a voice that is clear, kind, and deeply your own. Because we believe you can be both ambitious and kind, fun and driven, powerful and deeply human. Your leadership can inspire, your success can have soul, and your ambition can make space for everyone. That's why you're a Badass Softie. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Follow and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. BadassSoftie.com is crafted by Fruitful Design and Strategy.